many memories in this basement. I did not know this is where we were doing this.
Oh, there's memory? You have memories here?
Yeah.
Are we rolling?
Holly apparently was here way back in the day.
Are we rolling? All right. Holly Miranda.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great to see you.
You too.
So, you got memories down here.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like what?
So when I first moved to New York, I was 16 and it was 98, and I had made this 4-song demo back in Michigan, and I'd burned like 40 CDs.
Uh-huh.
I printed these labels that had my face on them.
Okay.
And pressed them onto the CDs. I lived in Weehawken, New Jersey, and I was so poor.
You moved to Weehawken from
My
Detroit?
sister lived in Weehawken, so I
you followed her out?
rented a couch. No, she lived there for like a year, and then she moved to LA. I like rented a couch for a year, and so I had just
How much
enough
was that?
money. I think it was like $300 or something. My sister's not that nice, and so
Ouch.
sorry, the other one is.
Okay.
But so I like had just enough money to get into the city, to take the bus to Port Authority, take the subway down, and then I had a map. This was like before cell phones. I had a map of every venue, and I was just gonna walk to every venue and put my CD in the mailbox. Like that was my plan. I didn't know what to do, so I slid one under the door when this was Brownies.
Okay.
And then and then I got home, and I didn't know what to do then. Like I was so shy. I had such horrible stage fright. I was so shy. I tried to convince my sister to call and follow up on the CDs, but she wouldn't do it. I never called on a single CD.
Yeah, I get that.
And,
Because, it's terrifying.
I was like, how do I sell myself?
Is that the end of the story?
No, and so then like 3 years later, I had a fake ID. I had a DJ night here. I was like 19, and Studo, who owned it at the time, we come down here to smoke a joint, and we're in the office, and he's looking at me, and he's like, and he starts digging through a pile of CDs and pulls out the CD with my face on it.
Uh-huh.
And was like, why didn't you ever call? No one ever called about this.
Yeah. It's hard being an artist like that because, you're just grappling with your self-esteem, and it's like this thing. It's like representative of so much. It's like you can kind of. It's like my friend Liam. He called like when talking about on Instagram. Sometimes you put a post out there, throwing the grenade in the room, and then just like not checking back.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that almost, but the old school way of doing that. Like, here you go, and you want somebody to like approach you, but no one ever does. You gotta like get after it.
Yeah, I just wanted to play more shows. I was just playing the Sidewalk Cafe, I think, every week.
So is that like around the Jeff Buckley time, or was that post Jeff Buckley?
I think it was like just
post Jeff Buckley.
Yeah.
So you're old school New York, really.
Yeah, 98.
Yeah.
I guess it's 20 years now. My God.
Yeah. That's why. Where do you live now?
No, I'm in Chelsea. I mean, I've been all
so
over.
You're here.
I'm here for now, yeah.
Yeah, cool. How do you like it?
I love it here. I mean, this is my home.
How long have you been here? Since then?
Since then, I had like a short stint in LA.
You went to LA?
I had LA for a couple years.
I keep trying to go. I keep trying to move to LA. It never takes.
Yeah,
I just end up doing winters in LA and thinking and making plans to move there.
Yeah.
And then I never do because I come back here and this city just. I don't know what it is about this city though. It's hard to leave.
Yeah, I go to Ibiza now instead of LA.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's great. I mean, I'm nowhere near like the Ibiza that you think of when you hear like Ibiza. I feel like it's like four on the floor. Yeah, nowhere near that world.
Party.
All my friends are like in their 80s, and we just play backgammon and frisbee and
that's cool.
Swim in the ocean. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Do you have like a permanent spot out there? Or?
Yeah, my buddy. Do you know Daniel Lorca? Not a Surf.
Okay.
He lives
They're
there
great,
permanently.
huh?
They're awesome. They're
a
good
great
old
band.
friends. Yeah, so he's been living there full time for a while, and every time I go, I just get one-way tickets now. I just was telling him because I just stay longer and longer.
Because you're smart, yeah. I do that with Toto Santos, Mexico.
I've never been to Mexico.
Yeah, I keep winding up out there.
Yeah.
That's like my spirit home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it out there. So, you grew up in the Midwest.
I grew up between Detroit and Nashville.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was Nashville? Like, was a parent split kind of situation?
No, my grandparents are all from Tennessee, and they'd all moved to Detroit for work during the war in the factories. And then when I was little, they all went back to Tennessee. So when I was 2, we moved back to kind of follow them. So that's where I learned to talk. I talked like this till I was like 10 years old. Mm-hmm. And then we moved back to Michigan. They sent me to speech therapy. So yeah,
to get rid of your soul?
Because the kids were making fun of me. Oh yeah, well, like, I mean, it feels way more natural when I talk like this. My jaw relaxes.
I like it when you talk like that.
Yeah.
It goes like with the jean jacket, too.
My Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah. What's that patch?
You know, I feel like it's like if James Brown were in the Monkees.
Yeah. Or if James Brown was a grandma in the Monkees
with
a red hat.
I like it.
I like it a lot.
But everybody, I don't know.
So they sent you to speech therapy just because of the accent?
The kids were making fun of me. They're like, "How old are you?" I'm like, 10. They all giggle, you know. So they told my parents I had Sullivan S's, which I still have. You can hear that like weird hiss, and that's what they were saying they were getting rid of. And they didn't. They just broke me in my southern accent.
How do you deal with that when you're recording vocals? Because S's are problematic. You know who's got the greatest S's in the world is Bob Dylan.
Do they whistle?
Huh? Does he?
Does he?
Well, he just he's got the best enunciation in singer-songwriterdom.
What's it sound like?
I don't know. If you just really analyze Bob Dylan the way he can make an S sound good. It's hard to do. I don't. I whistle my S's.
Yeah, I have I'm like the chipmunk from or the wood, the whistly guy in Winnie the Pooh. It's always popping out of the ground. That's what I feel like. Yeah, the gopher. Thank you.
I don't know, Winnie the Pooh's going way over my head. I do know the Tao of Pooh. You know the Tao of Pooh?
I never read it.
It's like, what's the best part of the honey? It's like the moment right before it hits your tongue. The Tao of Winnie the Pooh.
So dumb.
It is dumb. So, well, that's cool. That's like big musical roots. Detroit and then Nashville.
Yeah.
So you were destined for this.
Yeah, all my family, they were all musicians, all the Tennessee side. My great aunt, my Mima Duncan's little sister, my Aunt Oline Boone, she got called up on stage at the Grand Ole Opry by Loretta Lynn to sing a song when she was 23, and somebody offered her a shot of whiskey, and she didn't take it. She's like, "No, I'm gonna be sober," and got on stage and got stage fright and couldn't sing and never sang another note. And that was like the sort of story I heard of like as far as anyone in my family ever got to actually performing, I guess, on a stage. But I got to play there, the Ryman, and
Wow.
And I told that story to my friend as I was heading there, my friend Daisy, and she's like, "You need to go to every corner of the stage and clap and scream hallelujah and reclaim the energy of the stage for your family." And I was like opening for someone and there was no time, and then I remembered that she said that. So at the end of the set, I told the story and they turned on the house lights and everyone in the Ryman stood up and clapped and screamed hallelujah. And
Wow.
it was like this, it felt like a full circle moment for Oline Boone.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You should write a song called Oling Boom. That was it. The whole thing you just said was all the lyrics.
Oh, she was awesome.
What'd she do?
She was just rad. I don't know. She was like my family was super Pentecostal. Like I had to go to church 5 days a week for 14 years.
Really?
Real deep. Everybody, cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone. And she was like the only one who wasn't in it. So I'd only see her on like holidays, but she'd be outside chain smoking and I'd go sit by her and she'd tell me these crazy stories about how her cat just said her name or how,
Wow.
She was just like far out.
She was touched.
She was really, yeah.
You still go to church?
No.
No? You lost all that? Or do you still have faith in Jesus or anything like that? Or
no, not like that. I mean, I feel like it gave me a really great foundation for all the fucked up shit that was in it. It was like definitely a spark of connection to spirit, you know, of seeking.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my bag. I tried really, really hard to feel what it seemed like everyone around me was feeling. And then I went on a missions trip to Belarus when I was 14 and took medical supplies to areas affected by Chernobyl and held this children's camp for 2 weeks. And
how'd you get involved in that at 14?
I had to raise like $5,000. I just really wanted to go. It was like a missions trip. It was like through something with the church, you could do it. So I raised all this money and went. And I had the oldest group of kids. So I was 14 and they were about 14 or 15. But they all looked like they were about 10 from the radiation and the cancer and stuff that was in their water and in their bodies. And I had 2 interpreters and 30 kids to like myself. And then in the afternoons, it was like a morning, like a breakfast. We'd feed them breakfast, feed them lunch, and do some games, like light parables, like I was a mime in a boxing match between the devil and Jesus. But like not a lot of like heavy dogma.
She's full of them. I mean, you're like there are lyrics all over this podcast so far, by the way.
I was a demon. I had to torture like a girl that they were fighting over the soul of.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was like light stuff. And then at night there was an elective like revival service that the kids could come to and get, hands laid on them and Jesus is going to save you and like the whole 9. But in the afternoons they would come to my hotel and I'd go hang out with them all afternoon and they showed me how to climb up in the Statue of Lenin and look out his eyes, or like I had a shot of vodka. Wow. They wanted to wear my glasses and, this is like 2 or 3 weeks. We just became friends and I felt like such a hypocrite. Like I couldn't lay hands on them.
Why?
I couldn't tell them because I knew it wasn't true.
What wasn't true?
Just that their belief in Jesus was gonna change the fact that they all, had cancer, or that they're, it was just a very depressed situation. Like
right.
I had mothers coming up to me asking me to take their children home with me,
Oh, man.
We weren't allowed to get without our home address. Like they had people sometimes showing up, So I came home from that missions trip and told my parents I didn't believe in their God.
Wow. Is that what led you to move out when you were young?
I was also, a budding queer in a super religious, world that
right.
basically, I started to realize that at like 10.
Uh-huh.
And then was just terrified for the next 6 years until I left and moved here. But it was the first time I came here when I was 15 and I did a little open mic night at the Sidewalk Cafe that I just was like, oh, these are my people.
Right.
Like all you weirdos. Or like I finally felt
I'm not so queer after all.
Yeah, I just felt at home and then I just plotted and planned and I saved every penny. And the next summer I told my parents I was coming back to visit my sister and I called when I got here and was like, I'm not coming home, Mom.
What'd they say?
My mom said, oh, well, I thought so because you took your Wonder Woman poster off the wall.
Wow.
This is like heartbreaking now.
That is heartbreaking.
I'll never see Wonder Woman in the same way.
Me neither.
I brought it with me.
But I'm just curious, how does a 15-year-old just get up and leave and move to New York City?
Sister.
My sister lived here.
Sister
I was
here.
16. It was
And
the
how
next
old was
summer. She was 26. And she
So
lived
they
here
were
for
cool
1
with
She
year.
had a landing pad.
But she moved to LA a year later, and then I just stayed.
Wow.
I stayed here.
Still bold.
Just thinking as a parent, like, does your child just go and live with their 26-year-old sibling, and you're like, okay, see you later.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, my
I'm
sisters were a
16.
lot older than me, and they had it a lot harder than I did, actually. And I feel like by the time I got to me, my parents were like, whatever.
Yeah, they were done. They were
Yeah.
already done. They checked out.
Yeah, they kind of had. Like, it was on, like, because I was 10 and my one sister was 17, and it was just her job to, like,
Right.
watch me all the time. So I was just hanging out with a bunch of 17-year-olds when I was 10, which
Yeah.
maybe not the healthiest thing either.
Right. That's funny.
Yeah.
And then, but you got your high school degree through like some kind of mail thing or something?
I did, my parents found this charter school in Novi, Michigan, that was like a Christian charter school.
Yeah.
And they would let me do it correspondence. So really like every 3 or 4 months I would fly back and I would take some tests, and I just did the last 2 years in like a year or so.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And did you ever go to college? Yeah, me neither. No. I never did either. I wish I didn't even graduate high school because it's cooler to sound like you just like, oh, I dropped out.
Oh my gosh. I had to try this like sound healing program I just did. They wanted to see my diploma.
Are you kidding?
Like,
for sound healing?
Yeah, I was like, dude, I don't know where the hell that thing might live.
That's so funny.
It's like an accredited school and they're trying to,
So you're doing sound healing?
I don't know. I just did a semester.
Is that like breath work or is that something else?
No, I did learn some about breathwork, but only because of some of the other students that were in it. Yeah, we had a lot of classes on mantras.
I love mantras. I'm obsessed with mantras.
I'm on the Om Namah Shivaya right now.
That's your mantra right now?
Yeah. I know you're not supposed to say it out loud.
Oh no, I don't know the rules. I'm learning. I'm getting enlightened by YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm into Ho'oponopono. Just I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I do that one a lot. But also like Shreem Brazil, Shreem Brazil. Yeah. Dr. Pilau, do you know that guy?
Mm-mm.
Oh yeah, and Clean.
So there's seed sounds.
I don't know.
Yeah, so you're doing the seed sounds. So for every mantra, like Ganesh, the seed sound is gum. And basically that seed sound contains the meaning of the whole thing. There's like, And in Qigong, you have different seed sounds and in mantras.
And what's Qigong?
Qigong is the Chinese study of energy movement. So they have sounds for like your spleen, sounds for your liver, sounds for your heart. And a lot of like the movements, like you see people in Tompkins like late at night in the big
like
shorts.
Tai Chi almost.
Yeah.
Or it is kind of a form of Tai Chi.
I think it is. Yeah. But I'm just learning too. But this thing felt like an overview really. Like I had like a weekend intensive on sacred geometry, a weekend intensive on tuning forks. One class just on Om. So it was like a lot of stuff where like I don't feel qualified to do anything, but now I'm like, what do I want to learn more about? Is sort of the.
I feel like we should just do some mantras right now and just get everybody into the zone. Ready?
Yeah.
You go. I mean, you can.
It's foreign to me. I don't know.
But you can feel it though.
Yeah, I was closing my eyes. And I was like, I wish it was in stereo.
Om. Have you ever seen the cymetics of Om?
No.
It makes a circle when you look at it.
Oh, really?
You know what you do, like the sand with the sound coming through?
Well, I've seen like 432, right? 432, right? Like when,
the original, like tuning, the spirits tuning.
I guess because this normal music's on 440, but if you tune it to 432, then it's more pretty.
It sounds amazing. I've just played a piano that was tuned to 432, and it it sounds so right. I just bought a flute. I bought a flute that's in 432.
Listen, I had a Steinway Vertigram from 1912. I got it tuned to 432.
Yeah.
And I had it tuned like that in my studio for a year and recorded like that. And so I got tons of recordings, all 432. And it would just bum people out when they'd come over. And I'd be like, nope, you got to tune everything to 432.
Yeah. It feels better, though.
It does.
And I think it's part of, like, the just intonation tuning. Like the harmonic structure of sound, how harmony happens.
I don't.
So when you're singing or playing a note, depending on the timbre, the purity of the sound, like let's say a crystal bowl, you hit it and it's a G, you're gonna hear a lot of other notes in that, right? All the harmonics and the overtones are coming together.
Yeah, the overtones when it's 432 are off the chain.
Because it's just intonation, because it's the same as nature, because that's how sound happens in nature, is through just intonation, which is, so you start with your root note, and then you cut that in half, that's the first harmony, which would be an octave. And then you cut that into thirds, and then it's the fifth above that, and then you cut that into fourths, and it's the third above that. You cut into fifths, and it's like, so it goes on, and that's how harmony occurs. So if you have a C, you're hearing a C, the C octave, and then the G, and then so on. But this formula, which is like A times 2, A times 3, A times 4, is the same formula for the distance between the planets in our solar system. It's the same formula for the weight of the vertebrae in our spine. It's the same formula for the distance between the shells, the electroshells in an atom, the lines of nitrogen. So essentially everything from micro to macro is seeking harmony.
When it's in 432 or just in general?
Just anything, but 432 is like the note or the tuning that for, hundreds of thousands of years was what was happening before we decided everything had to be equal tempered so we could all play together, and we changed it all to 440.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it had something to do with Nazis changing it to 440.
It might
I swear,
be.
That's
no,
what I heard.
My teacher had a lot of
I heard that, dude.
theories. like separating from nature is probably a big chunk of it.
Yeah,
keeping us separate.
Yeah, I don't know. I love conspiracy theories.
Oh, me too.
I mean, I could go on and on.
Oh, me too.
Just let me know when you want to talk about the moon landing.
Oh, the moon landing.
Yes,
no, I grew up with like...
No.
Have you done research about the moon landing?
I don't know a ton.
I just think it's fun.
He has.
No, I mean, it's
Tell
like
me.
on YouTube. It's fun.
That it was a hoax.
I believe it happened.
I don't-
Start
Yeah.
with that.
No, I
here's-
have a driver that picks me up in Detroit who's a flat earther, and
Yeah.
we spend 45 minutes
No,
every
but
time I
flat
drive
Earth
talking
is
about
fascinating
talking about
too.
the moon, but he believes that's part
Flat
of
Earth
it.
is fascinating too.
Mhm.
My theory is I don't know. I don't know what the nature of reality is. Like I look at it like Elon Musk says this is he said there's 1 in billions of a chance that this isn't a simulation, this whole thing, the nature of reality.
Mhm.
That's Elon Musk says that. So
I think it absolutely is.
So if this is a simulation, then all bets are off to it's a digital realm that we're in already. So then it could be anything. I just like not knowing, and I like exploring. I think it's fun. I think like people that feel like they have to know what everything is like, I don't think we know as much as we say we know or think we know, and I don't know. I don't think you can fully claim to know whether you're a flat earther or a round earther or moon landing or non-moon landing. It's like, come on, do you really know? And I just think it's fun to explore. It's my theory.
I've never looked into the flat Earth thing. What's the main, what's their claim to the whole flat Earth thing?
I'm not entirely sure. I only know this from like this family friend who always picks me up at the airport, who's an Uber driver, and I just find it fascinating, so I just ask him questions.
Me too.
And,
I find it fascinating too.
His
Give me some of his
reasons, his
answers.
reasons are, well, he believes that the Earth is kind of like God's side table, and like if you go to the ends, you'll hit like a wall.
Right,
Which I've tried to explain to him, like you can go to like Patagonia and like
Are you
take
allowed
a
to go
boat.
to Antarctica?
Yeah,
though?
go to
So where's
Antarctica.
that?
Are you allowed to
Where's
go?
that?
Like,
I don't
Have you
know.
been to Antarctica?
No, I don't know.
I haven't.
I mean, I watched like the Werner Herzog, but like that's as close as I've gotten to Antarctica. But the other thing is he wants to know why, if it's flat, why do we have to, something about flying, like why do we have to go up and go down, or why wouldn't we
Yeah.
just go straight across? The other thing is why don't they ever do a 360 in spaceships was one of his questions. Like a 360 reveal.
Well, apparently, too, you can see a lighthouse from 42 miles away, and you shouldn't be able to with the curvature
it's
of the
curve.
stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff once you start
That's
going.
interesting.
It is interesting. It's not as clear cut as. And the other thing I find funny is that anytime you bring it up, people that want to stick with the nature of reality as we have been taught are just like, there's like all of a sudden you're a fucking idiot, like the outrage against anybody questioning the nature of reality is so extreme that seems to me like that is a little bit like perplexing to me. Like why do people get so upset at people that question things?
It's the same with
like
religion.
what's wrong
When
with
you question
questioning?
religion, then you get the same outrage.
But I don't understand the outrage of questioning religion.
I don't either.
I mean, to me, I believe in a creator. My reason tells me that something can't come from nothing. So to me, it seems reasonable to believe in a creator. And my heart tells me that too. However, if you don't believe in a creator, that's fair enough. I don't care. You might be right. Like, I don't know for sure. It's just what I believe. You know, like, what's wrong with that? You know what I mean? I don't know. I just don't understand the outrage back and forth, personally.
I think people are scared to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, and I think not knowing what they think they know makes them uncomfortable, and nobody wants to sit in discomfort.
And we don't know, though. No. I don't think we clearly don't know. Like, there's clearly a big mysterious spectrum going on, you know?
I learned last night that the stars of Sirius are moving at the exact same dimensions in a helix that is our DNA.
Really? See, I mean, stuff like that.
Like, so there's obviously a universe inside of us. We are our own universe in our own little Merkaba.
That points
and then there's that.
a creator to me, that kind of stuff. That kind of symmetry, that kind of, like, genius in design, you know, from the smallest to the biggest, or like you said, from the micro to the macro. The way it's all like a symphony and in harmony, to me, that just doesn't seem like chaos. It seems like, you know.
I think it's seeking harmony. I think it's like the golden ratio. It's never... The golden mean is never actually perfect. Like when you see in nature that things are growing towards the golden ratio, that's what they're doing. They're growing towards it. Yeah. That's never actually like perfect. That's why it's a ratio.
Huh. You're speaking over my head, but I'm sure somebody out there gets it. Hey, Ehud, the other thing with the flat earth thing is it's really a lot. It is to do with, you know, the conspiracy is the reason why flat earthers would say we've been lied about the nature of our reality is because they, you know, it's kind of belief or disbelief in a God, in a creator. Like if we're in a ball spinning around with an infinite number of galaxies and we're infinitely small and infinitely insignificant in a huge black universe going into a void of nothingness, then each of our human lives are worth like next to what? Nothing. But if this is like the, you know, the center of the universe and everything, then it's all of a sudden like, uh-oh, there's like somebody paying attention and each human life matters and we matter and we're powerful. So that's the, I feel like that's really the crux of the argument between the two, you know? So, you know, on a spiritual level.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. But it's really all about that patch. I mean, if there is a God, I think it looks like that.
My dad was really into conspiracy theories growing up.
I think they're fun.
I heard a lot of, like, love your country, fear your government. That was a big one in our house.
I don't think that's a bad attitude to have.
No.
You know.
My dad didn't pay income tax for like 13 years.
Uh-oh. Are you sure you should be saying that on a podcast?
Yeah, he like went and like fought for it in court.
Oh, okay.
You know, like did the whole. But I grew up with like, you know, IRS, like FBI showing up at our door.
Wow.
Like, I knew how to assemble an AK-47 on a tripod with a bayonet as like a 10-year-old. It's what I did for fun. I thought for sure like the end of the world was gonna happen at any point. I was hoarding silver, because I knew that dollar bills were just Federal Reserve notes that had no gold backing. And so I had silver under my bed, and I would practice every night how quickly I could pack up a bag to, like, go to the farm in Tennessee, and, like, thought everything was going to go, like, you know, Waco style at any moment. So
that's interesting. Was it traumatizing?
Maybe a little.
I mean, maybe a little. Maybe a little, but it feels like you're prepared now.
Yeah, now I'm
like it feels like you're
zombie apocalypse. You want me?
Like I'm gonna call you when the shit goes down.
Yeah, I'm not. You know, haven't touched a gun in a while, but yeah.
But you know how to.
I know how.
if it happens, that's cool. So, what else should we talk about?
Where do you go from there?
Yeah, where do you go from there? The moon landing. You want to go to the moon landing? You don't want to go to the moon landing? I mean, with the moon landing, it is a bit odd that we haven't been back. That's all I'm going to say. It was a long time ago that we went.
Guess so. The Israelis just tried to land.
Bit weird.
A spaceship on the moon. They made it like to like 100 feet from the moon, and then lost control, and it crashed on the moon, unmanned.
I
This
heard
is a
about
big
that.
thing like a month or two ago.
Oh, really?
Somebody's still trying.
Is there footage of that?
Yeah. Well, no. You know what? It's all simulated. You're right. But yeah, I guess so.
I mean, yeah.
Or maybe there is footage. I'll let you know.
Okay, let me know. Send it to me.
On the moon
yeah. Why haven't we been back?
That's a bit weird if you think about it.
Yeah.
Bit odd. And NASA's thing is literally like, you know, like all the research about like the moon landing. The NASA's thing is, you know, my dog ate the homework. You know, they literally say, oh yeah, we've lost all of the records, all of the, we just threw out the videotapes. It's essentially saying my dog ate the homework is why we don't have any of that.
That happens.
I'm not buying it.
That seems a bit odd. It's just like,
yeah, you're NASA.
You know, yeah.
It was the moon landing.
All right, we're already gonna get banned. This is only the second episode of Come to Where I'm From, and we are getting.
Sorry,
we have our first banned comic coming on the podcast too, on Wednesday.
Dave Hill.
Dave Hill.
Aw, I love Dave.
Yeah, so we're.
And Craig.
Yeah, we're. I guess we're going to become controversial.
Why is he banned? What's he banned from?
He was making your mama jokes to Trump supporters.
Wait, so what is he banned from?
Twitter.
Wow.
Yeah. So, when did your album come out? 2018, right? Mutual Horse?
Yeah, that last one, February 2018.
It's great. I love that album.
Thank you.
Yeah. Beautiful songs.
Thanks.
Where'd you get that title?
And the cover.
Oh.
Let's look at the cover.
The title, there was this photo in the studio. I had done this cover of this Chris Williamson song called Midnight Oil.
I love that band.
Midnight Oil?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that is.
It's a great band, Midnight Oil. Australian, yeah.
Oh, but I don't know. I've never heard of it.
Our beds are burning.
That one.
How do we know when the world keeps...
That would be the only song you might know.
They're killer.
I'll check them out.
Yeah, they're really good.
But I covered this Chris Williamson song for to benefit Standing Rock, and then she and I had become friends, and I don't know how I'd never discovered her before. She's just like this mother of so many different things, and so I just realized she had all these incredible 80s like cover art, just really badass, weird stuff. And there was one photo of her and this woman holding the reins of a horse, and they're both looking at each other sort of like lovingly, and the horse is just staring at the camera. And somebody printed out a picture and stuck it on the wall, and someone else wrote mutual horse underneath it, and it was like a joke, and then it just like you can't get away from it sometimes, you know. And now I realize as I go overseas, when people say it with different accents, that it sounds like mutual whores. Sort of what it sounds like.
Yeah. Well, and also, it's also people are going to be tempted to make like a heroin connection whenever you bring up horse.
Yeah.
You know
I realized
what I mean?
that after I got this.
Oh, is that recent?
No, I got this a long time ago. Just because I had a horse.
Why wasn't that photo the album artwork?
That was my buddy David Hochbaum, who he was a bartender here when I first started having a DJ night. And I thought he was the coolest and just wanted to be friends with him. And it took years of like, please be my friend.
How come Dave held out so long?
I was just like probably like 19 and super annoying. And he was like, you know, I don't know how old he was, probably late 20s or 30, you know. And then we became buddies. And I had two records before this. There's a record for the Magician's Private Library where there's a little girl, and it's his niece. It's the same girl. And she's laying in like a monochrome field, sleeping, surrounded by arrows. And then I'd watch him make this painting, and I had a little replication next to my wall, hanging there for like a year and a half. And it was the morning after. I couldn't figure out what the cover should be. It like wasn't happening. It wasn't coming to me. And it was the morning after actually Trump got elected that I woke up and looked at that painting, and it was the same girl, but now she was older. She was awake. It was color, and she was carrying the weight of this moon on her back, but in like a beautiful, you know, heavy sort of way. And I just thought about what this election was going to mean for so many young women, you know, and yeah. And then that was that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and luckily he's so kind and let me use another piece.
You want to hold it up to a camera so people can see?
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It's an image, like, I remember the first time I saw it when I got it from something from your PR person. It was just like a stunning image.
It is. It's
yeah,
great.
his work is beautiful.
But that's why the mutual horse threw me off. Cause
I know, it doesn't match, does it? It's confusing.
I like it. I like things that scratch your brain a little bit, though. Like, it make you go like, wonder why.
It does make you think. It does
makes
make
think.
you think.
Well, then I've done my job.
You also had... I just remember you did a session with me at the winery before the album came out, and Kip Malone was with you. Is he on the album as well? Did he do... What else did he do?
He and I wrote Exquisite together. He's sang with me on I think every solo record I've done, and this was the first time that I just asked him to write a song with me. So
is he TV on the radio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to be my upstairs neighbor. I mean, I knew before that, but for a while he lived upstairs from me in the Astral in Greenpoint. And was always getting locked out and always asking to climb up my fire escapes. There was just a lot. I think the way he was on the first solo record is one of those nights where I was like playing the song Slow Burn Treason, and he just sat down and just started singing it. And I was like, okay, can you come to the studio tomorrow?
That's great.
But yeah, he's a dear old friend.
Who produced this record?
I started it with this guy in LA who lives in Portland, Matthew Morgan. And then he kind of bowed out, and I had to figure out how to finish it, and brought it back to New York, and kept working on it by myself and my friend Florent's studio in Williamsburg. And so I guess between Matthew, myself, Florent Barbier, and Jared Samuel and Bisville Familiars, he helped me finish it. So it also felt like this horse that I'd sort of had to like trot all over, to kind of find a way. It's like a vision I had with a friend who couldn't see it all the way through, and I had this like half-baked baby I had to bring back.
You don't have to get into it.
Yeah, it's sort of a bit of a little meltdown.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I've made art before.
Yeah.
I love what Trent Reznor is one of the best Trent Reznor quotes is you haven't really made a good record unless you've lost some friends.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing. He probably said it better than that, but yeah. No, making art, it's a blood sport for sure. I mean, it's wild. So, how long did this record take? It's super
production-wise?
Yeah, how long did it take to make the whole thing?
We were solidly in a studio for a month. And then by the time I brought it back here, I was sort of working on it like piecemeal. So then it took me like another 2 months, kind of like here and there, strings, vocals,
And there's horns on it too.
Horns, yeah.
Yeah, I like the horns.
Thanks. Flugelhorn. It was my first time flugelhorn.
The
Maria
Eisen.
Eisen. Yeah, she's a bari sax player. She's been playing with me for like a decade.
What? There's a Force of Nature horn player?
Yeah. Maria Eisen. She's been playing with me for like 9 years. She and I fell in musical love because we realized we both loved Morphine so much. And
the band Morphine.
Yeah, the band.
There you go. Back to smack with you. Stop being a smackhead.
We both loved heroin.
We fell in love because we like to get smacked up.
The band Morphine. Dana Colley, and all those horns, and yeah, since then it's just been like, how can I put Maria on more and more and more stuff so that she has to come tour with me? And we did a tour for this record as a trio. It was just me, her, and a drummer, and now she has like a whole pedal board that she's throwing her sax through.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Doing loops and stuff like that.
Not loops, but like octaves and
Yeah, that band Morphine's super interesting.
I love them.
Mark Sandman, was that his name?
Mark Sandman, yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're great. Rocky Erickson just passed away last night, I guess.
I don't know who that is.
He's a psychedelic legend. Icon.
Musician?
Yeah, musician, songwriter.
He was married to Amy Rigby, I think.
I don't know.
He's also a musician.
I don't know his personal thing. RMDM covered one of his songs, one of my side bands, with Jeff Ament and Richard Stuverud. Shout out.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. Hi, Richard.
Hey, Richie.
We need to get the band back together, y'all. I've changed.
What was his band? Rocky.
He was just a solo artist, everyone
Let's look him up
to him.
Yeah, no, he's
Rocky.
It's kind of like Reckless Eric. It's different. He's like they're all like
here. He is.
godfathers of everything. Singer-songwriter.
Looks like the Reverend.
Oh yeah, the 13th Floor Elevators. That was the big pioneer psychedelic rock.
I have to check it out.
Yeah, really interesting. Great songs. So, and there's that one song called Golden Spiral. That's like the single, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Kind of about voyeurism.
Kind of, yeah.
Are you a voyeur?
Not so much.
I feel like we all are voyeurs now, though. Like we're all like voyeurs, and we're all displaying our lives.
Yeah, I guess in the endless scroll.
Yeah, in the endless scroll.
But I wouldn't say like I'm looking in people's windows per
Right.
se. I mean, in New York, it's sort of hard to avoid it.
It's hard
sometimes.
to avoid it.
Yeah, I was like
sometimes.
getting water last night, and it's like, oh, there's a naked man. I went to bed, but not like trying to like stare.
Yeah, because there's that line about like people having sex and and also I guess you were early inspired by Ani DeFranco. Yeah.
Yeah, I was taking guitar lessons at this little place in Pontiac. I taught myself like as much as I could, and I figured I should take some lessons. And it's like kind of realizing like, you know, how gay I might be, but hadn't fully gotten there yet. And I took this teacher. He wanted to hear some songs I wanted to learn, and I took him like an Indigo Girls song and a Sarah McLachlan song. Which one? Which?
For Indigo, which one for Sarah?
I don't remember what Indigo Girls song is. Probably like Virginia Woolf. And Sarah McLachlan, I think it was The Path of Thorns. And he said to me, have you ever heard of Ani DeFranco? And I feel like he was sort of, you know, realizing myself for me. And I hadn't. And I went home and called my friend. And I was like, have you heard of Ani DeFranco? And he's like, yeah, I bought this record called Dilate last summer. And I don't really like it. You can have it. So he brought it over, and I wasn't allowed to listen. Oh, that's the other thing. I wasn't allowed to listen to music growing up, like secular music. It was either Christian or Motown. So I chose Motown, and that's like what I grew up on.
At least you had Motown.
How was Motown okay?
Because my parents had grown up in Detroit, and they
Yeah,
seemingly
Detroit.
were all right, you know? So it was like oldies seemed safe.
Yeah.
So he had to like hang the CD in a bag on the porch, and I had to go out and get the CD. And I went into my room.
Contraband.
And I hadn't been writing. Yeah, I was like playing, but I wasn't writing anything. And I listened to the record while reading the lyrics in my headphones. And I was just like, you can be this honest?
Right.
Like, I had no idea that you could
that
say
has
that.
The fuck you and your untouchable face.
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That I don't think that's a typical, like the one before that, Out of Range is like what you'd expect from Ani. That Dilate album, I think she went.
It
like
got
a step
dark.
further.
Yeah, it was like that cover was all like green and black, and she's crouched over, and
she had the dreads in her hair. I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
Hey, we need to put a camera on you too, dude.
No.
Come on. For sure.
We can't afford a fourth camera.
Yeah, we need a fourth camera.
Support us on Patreon.
Come on, support us on Patreon so we can get Ehud's face up on this podcast too. Clearly, he's going to be a co-host. So yeah, I know Ani a little bit. I was Mike Napolitano. Her, I don't know if they're still together or not, but her baby daddy. Yeah, he produced one of my records.
Yeah.
Worked with me in New Orleans.
Cool.
So yeah.
I've never met him. I've gotten to like hang out with her a few times now. And
Shout out
we're
Mike
pen
and
pals.
Ani. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would feel like you guys would be good touring companions or something like that. Good show, something like that.
Yeah. Put that out there.
I just did. So how'd you get into the sound healing?
You know, I just how did I get into the sound healing? I think it was around, so my mother passed.
I'm sorry.
It's all right, thank you. January 24th, 2018. So about a month before this record came out, a record which I dedicated to her, wrote a bunch of songs about her.
Wow.
In it, didn't know she was going to go a month before.
That's wild. Did she get to hear it?
Yeah, she heard some of it. But she was sick for about 7 years. She had a degenerative brain disease, and her brain was folding in on itself. So it was like the slowest fade, you know? It was like this long... her cerebellum had atrophied like years before she actually passed, and so that's kind of how I started going home. I wasn't really around for about 15 years, I guess, or so. And then she got sick, and I mean, I'd go back here and there, but I was sort of the black sheep, like the expendable, you know.
I can relate.
Yay. And so I started going back to take care of her, and my dad was her main caretaker. And she was in the house, and basically as soon as I'd arrive, he would like leave, you know, and I was there now doing for my mother the things that she did for me as a child, you know, like changing diapers, tying her shoes, and feeding her, and started to find that music, like even after she lost the ability to speak, one day I played this song that she and my dad used to sing together, and she started singing perfectly. And I was like, what? You can sing, but you can't talk? So then we started singing like, do you want soup with your crackers? Or, you know what I mean? Do you want, like, trying to get her to do that? And she'd always go to these really high, like, early Joni Mitchell ranges. I'm like, we can find a melody down here to sing. And so that kind of started opening up my eyes, you know, and...
to what? Sound healing? Or
just to, like, the power of music and wanting to learn more about how music affects the brain. And about, like, you know, this thing that I've been doing for so long, I don't really even fully understand the power that's in it or, like, what it's doing. And it was always something that I sort of did from a very selfish... It was something that I got through my, you know, childhood, that I got through, you know, trauma, that I got through abuse, that I got through. And I would write... to myself, like a lot of these songs are me talking to myself, you know, and I just really wanted to kind of face the barometer out instead of in, you know, and Ani has that lyric actually that's I know I need my instrument, but does my instrument need to be mic'd? And that's sort of this thing that I roll over in my head all the time of like,
what's that mean?
To me it's just like do I need to be on stage? Do I need to be, you know, like putting out a record is not easy. There's a lot of like really exhausting, really soul crushing stuff that goes into working with a label, that goes into working with
just the whole
people.
Thing.
And it's been killing my spirit for a long time. And it's gotten to a point of where it wasn't fun, you know, and like it was out of control in a lot of ways. And, I needed some new information. And when my mom, so she went into hospice. She was in residential hospice from November to the end of January. And at the very, very end, her stomach collapsed. So she had a feeding tube for a few years, and her stomach collapsed. And they said, you can't give her any more food or water. She couldn't have an IV in the arm. We could only give her a tiny little sponge with a little bit of morphine on it. And they're like 24 to 48 hours. She passed that. Or like 24 to 48, she passed that. It went on for 17 days that she had just a little bit of morphine. And I sang to her.
What does that mean?
Like they're like, she's probably going to die in 24 to 48 hours. Okay, and she just kept going past the time, and nobody could figure out why. And there was really nothing you could do to help her or to comfort her except music. And as soon as I would start singing to her, she couldn't respond to us anymore, but her breathing would regulate, her heartbeat would get steady. If she was in any pain, she would like, you know, relax. And so I just sang to her like every day, all day for about 16 days. And then I started to feel like, I mean, not all day, but as much as I could, you know, it started to feel like maybe it was part of what she was holding on to as well, is like, I needed to let her go so that she could go. You know, the doctor would come by and be like, whatever you guys are doing, like having people come by, like it needs to stop. Like you need, like this isn't good for her to still be
let her go.
In this state. So on the last day I didn't sing to her, and we put on some music that was like designed to help people transition.
Really?
Yeah, some CD that some old family friend from Tennessee like mailed.
That's
and it arrived that day. Put it on, and I put on a nature show and was just watching that, try to remember that there was beauty, you know, in the world. And
it's heavy.
And just kept telling her, like, I'm here, we're here, you know, it's okay. And then, yeah, and then she went. And I feel like through that whole experience, it's just giving me a different... Now I keep getting sort of presented with these things where people are passing, and I feel like it's part of my like learning experience here is to help people transition with music. And so that's kind of the information that I'm getting.
You're doing helping other people transition as well now?
It's sort of like these things are coming up. We're like, yeah, I'm about to fly back to San Francisco. A friend there's throat cancer, and he actually did the same program that I did, but they had to cut his tongue out last August. And and yeah, I'm doing some stuff with him, helping him share his story, because after years of trying to understand my mom, I could understand him perfectly. It doesn't take, you know, he's used to like not being able to speak or having to type things down. I'm like, I know what you're saying. We can talk, like we can converse.
Wow.
And I actually bought him a guitar, and we sat there, and he's like sang along, you know, Stand By Me with me, and it's just like.
So you're a healer.
I think that's kind of what I'm stepping into.
Yeah. You're a healer.
And also, it doesn't scare me anymore. You know, he has the same G-tube that my mom had, and I'm like, do you need help? Like, there's not.
Right.
I feel like we're so separated from birth and death.
Yeah.
You know, there's such big businesses.
Death-denying culture we live in, I guess.
And like, I don't want to be separate from it. I don't think that we should be scared of it. I don't think that there's anything to.
I don't believe this there. Is the. I don't believe death is the end. Personally speaking, you know.
Yeah.
But. Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very inspiring and moving.
Well, I mean, what else are we here to do? You know?
But inspire and move each other.
Yeah, and just help each other a little. Make things a little easier, you know, if me helping you share your story is going to make you feel like you can go, then, like...
Fuck's sake. It's getting bright in here, y'all. Can you turn the lights down?
Let it out.
Keeping it real, Pop.
Oh, my God. Wow. So, what's the sound healing school that you're going to, or what...
I just did a semester at this place called the Globe Institute, because a friend of mine had gone through it, and it is like a full 2-year accredited program.
The Globe Institute?
The Globe Institute.
Where's that at?
It's in Soma, in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
And you can do like the first semester as an overview, which is like the certificate you get, which I don't really feel like I'm qualified to do anything, you know, but it was a good overview where, like, you know, I got a little piece of that and a piece of this and a piece of that, and I can see what I connect with, and I can see what I want to learn more about. So I plan to just keep studying.
So it's all encompassing, like mantras, this, that, the, like.
Yeah, it was really intense. And it's stuff that I've never, like, you know, like we had a whole weekend where we just did these meditations where we went into our endocrine system and how your endocrine corresponds with each chakra, you know, and getting everything spinning and moving. And really, I had to do a tremendous amount of.
What's the endocrine system?
So your like your glandular system, your thyroid, your thymus, your pancreas, your what are the others? There's like 5 or 6.
And that corresponds with the chakras?
So, yeah, there's different chakras that are connected to your endocrine. So a lot of times when people are getting sick, it's because you have energy that's stuck in your chakras. And the longer that it sits there in your chakra or your ka, your spiritual body, then it starts to manifest and fester into your physical body. And usually it goes through your endocrine and then into the rest of your physical body.
Okay. And
so
do you practice yoga as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love yoga.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I'm trying to get my kundalini to rise.
Mm-hmm. I love breath of fire.
Do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Pranayama, breathing?
Yeah, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia like 12 years ago.
What's that?
You know, it's changed. At first they said that they thought it was from a depletion of serotonin, and so they wanted to put me on antidepressants to treat the fact that I had weakness in my hands. Like one day after a show at Pianos, I was like holding a beer. It's the Jealous Girlfriends days, and I was holding a beer and just dropped it. I just couldn't hold it anymore.
That's
and
wild.
people were like, "Oh, you don't need any more." And I'm like, "No, I haven't had anything. I just can't." And it kind of got really worse, and I went back to Michigan, and I was seeing all these doctors, and they were testing me for all different kinds of cancers, and I couldn't play guitar. I was getting super depressed, and some sports therapist doctor did this test and was like, "Oh, you have fibromyalgia." And at the time, other doctors I went to were like, "That's not a real thing." And some were saying it was, and some weren't, and then some were like, "You need to go on antidepressants, and that's how we treat this." And I didn't want to go on antidepressants for, hands thing. And so that's when I started getting into yoga. And now they've made a new discovery with people with fibromyalgia. They found that they did a test of someone's hands without it and someone's hands with it, and they found that there's like, I don't know how many thousands or 10,000s more, but it's more nerve endings. It's not that I'm actually feeling pain, it's just that I'm feeling more. And so these shunts get stuck open. So I have like it's like a head, a lot of places where you have your nerve endings, your eyes, the top of your head, your hands, your feet, a lot of times are where I get pain or weakness. But yeah, the new discovery, which I'm sure they'll discover something new about it in a few years and say, take this pill for that. But to me, I think a lot of it is also how your body holds trauma. I experienced a lot of trauma, like from birth, really.
Yeah.
And so I feel like as I work through shedding those layers, I have less physical pain and less stuff that I'm grappling with in my body.
When you say like from birth, did you have a complicated birth?
Yeah.
What happened?
Oh God.
Do you not want to go in? We don't have to. I'm just curious.
I was a meconium baby,
which
means that I swallowed my own feces in the womb.
What? Oh, okay.
And then...
Is that common?
It's common if there's a trauma during like while the woman's carrying the child.
If the mother has a trauma?
Yeah, so like around 4th of July, they think this is what happened. My dad shot a firework that landed between my mom's legs and she jumped. They think that like maybe that's when, but usually there's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I wrapped the umbilical cord around my neck twice and tied it in a knot.
Wow.
So there's that. So every time she was pushing, I was getting pulled back up. And then they finally figured it out. And then they put me in an incubator for like, a week or something. So I also didn't get that like yummy, like first touch,
Yeah,
so like, but there's all these theories, around like, so your birth is like a direct metaphor for how your life is going to go.
Right.
Fuck. And also there's like, people think that you choose the life that you're going to have, that you're like, okay, I'm going to go into this. So I think I probably was like, okay, give me this like really tough one. And then the last minute I was like, no,
yeah,
I don't want to do it.
And that's why you became a healer, That's funny as hell. Yeah. I think we choose everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the healthiest outlook. That's the ho'oponopono in me. The I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Because it's all about taking full responsibility of everything that ever comes into your field of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So that you never have, like, it empowers you, basically, if you've been traumatized or come from abusive vibes or whatever, And it's a wonderful philosophy or prayer or something, because it does empower you, and it's a prayer of forgiveness and stuff like that. So yeah, that's so interesting. Did you see Rocket Man, the Elton John movie? It just came out.
No. How is it?
It's amazing.
Yeah?
Oh man, I loved it. I mean, it's
who's playing him?
Some amazing guy. I forget his name.
I don't know.
I forget his name.
No,
Shit.
I haven't even heard of it.
I should look it up. Let's look it up.
I watched the Jane Goodall documentary last night.
Oh yeah, where's that on? Netflix?
Amazon Prime. It's just called Jane.
Oh, okay. What's that like?
It was so beautiful.
Really?
Like, whoa. Yeah. She just went and did that. She didn't go to university. Nobody had ever studied chimpanzees before, and she just went and lived in Gombe.
Yeah.
Gombe.
Oh, Taron Egerton played him.
I don't know what it is.
Incredible. Great movie. But it it's like all about, he came from a real abusive childhood, and then just, went about, becoming this like mega rock star songwriter just to get all this love and doing all this drugs and all this. It's just a real, you might identify. You might. It's a real tearjerker, I gotta tell you.
I'll check it out.
That's cool though, the Jane Goodall thing. Peter Gabriel was into making music with chimpanzees for a while. Yeah, he would do that. He would communicate with them with music and, just jam with. Yeah, it's kind of awesome.
I've heard the elephant music. There's like a sanctuary in Thailand where the elephants make a record every year and then they sell it to benefit. Yeah, they can hold they can play xylophones and stuff.
Really?
I've seen elephants paint, not play. But yeah.
Well, somebody should get the elephants and the chimpanzees.
Why do we think we're the only ones who can play instruments? And there was part of the Jane Goodall where she's like, I had to find out like how chimpanzees related to humans, which I feel like it's such a limiting, like, why not just study them based on relating to everything? But in order to keep getting funding, she had to keep finding ways to like relate chimpanzees back to like our human experience, what they do. Oh, they make tools too, or they make, like this stuff. But I don't know. I feel like what you were saying about like questioning things, it's a limiting scope of looking at the world of how we have to relate everything to the human experiance.
How do you,
I'm kind of going in 5 different directions.
No, but kind of, but keep going because I want to get more what you're saying.
Just like
wait, what? Like the first thing you said was like they keep having to relate it to what, like music, chimpanzees making music.
I don't know about chimpanzees making music, but like you were saying, I've never seen an elephant make music, but I'm sure that there's all kinds of animals that could play. Like I'm sure a dolphin could probably play an instrument, or it just hasn't given the opportunity, or maybe they have.
Well, probably
maybe
not a piano. We need to get underwater, underwater drums. Yeah, there you go. I just want to hear what it would sound like for a dolphin to start a band with a chimpanzee and an elephant. Like, to me, this is awesome, like the trio. Next frontier. That's my next backing band.
Traveling pool.
The dolphin. You have to like have a big aquarium on stage with the dolphin.
There's like
the rider. The rider.
Peeled shrimp. There's like multiple cultures around the world. There's the Dogon in Africa, and then in Peru and somewhere else, where they all have these cave drawings of dolphins coming from outer space, creating water, jumping out of their spaceship into the water, and then sharing information. And
Are you kidding?
No. There's a cave in Africa where it's one guy's job, his entire life is to guard this cave, and when he dies, another guy is put there to guard this cave, and inside of the cave are these hieroglyphics.
Wow.
And the stuff that's in there that they were told about the stars of Sirius, we've only just discovered and proven that it's true.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And the drawings are, of these, amphibic creatures that breathe air. And they're half in water and half out, and their tails are tilted.
Yeah, I feel like with the nature of this reality is just landing. I mean, it just keeps unfolding in wilder and wilder ways, Yeah, that Elon Musk thing about this being like a simulation. I mean, because he was saying it on the Joe Rogan podcast, which is like basically the reason why was because of video games, and how it started with Pong, and it was just too. I'm paraphrasing, and this will be like an idiot trying to explain what Elon Musk says. But like
started with Atari.
Started with Atari basically, and then and then as video games evolve, they get more and more complex, and like virtual reality, to where soon we won't be able to tell the difference between video games and real life, or virtual reality and real life.
Aren't we there?
So therefore, we already are there, and so therefore, the chances that this isn't already virtual reality is like 1 in billions that it's not. And that like went way over my head the first time I heard it. I was just like, okay, that does not make any sense. I don't get what you're saying. But the more I would think about that, like I would think about it a lot over like a month, and then as I would think about it more and more, I would think, like, you know what, that actually does make a lot of sense. So it takes a minute to really like let that land, but once it does, it's kind of like, okay, I mean, who knows? So yeah, I guess. And lately I've been getting more and more synchronicity too. Like thinking something, and then a bus goes by with a sign that basically is a direct response to what I'm thinking. And I know some people would say, yeah, that's called psychosis, But like stuff like that too makes me think like, what's going on with the nature of reality?
What about the jealous girlfriends? I'm just curious.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Why did you guys break up? Did you just reach a point?
That's Holly's first band, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Why did we break up? Well, I was doing...
They were jealous.
Yeah. Kind of. I mean, don't name your band something
right.
that you don't want to manifest.
Well,
I was
exactly
too young to know.
Words are power.
Yes.
Like, that's the thing.
There was so much jealousy.
It's so true.
It was.
It's honestly true. Words are so powerful.
Nobody wanted me doing solo
guys got
stuff.
Some success with that, right?
Yeah. I mean, we were on a label. We had 2 records. We had a third one. I have the demos for the third one.
You're a great singer.
Thank you.
That's a rare thing.
Thanks.
That's an unusual thing to be that good.
Thank you.
As a singer.
Thank you.
So that's why
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was doing solo stuff before. That band started because Alex and I made a record together that was supposed to be a solo record. And then at the end, he's like, let's start a band. And it became the first Jealous Girlfriends record. But really, it's a Holly Miranda record. The next one was more of a band record where Josh was in the band and we were writing. And then Josh, who was our drummer, one day he just started singing at rehearsal, and I was like, why aren't you singing with me? This is, you have a great voice. And so he started learning guitar, and he came up to the front and started singing with me, and we got a drummer, and then it was like a band. But yeah, I always was doing solo stuff, and I always planned to do. It was 2 very different, expressions for me. But everything that I did solo, I was always like, and you have to sign this band, so like when I signed a publishing deal, I was like, oh, and you have to sign the Jealous Girlfriend, and so I had made this solo record with Dave Sidik, and I was shopping that around, and in my head I was always like, oh, this will be a good place for the band to, kind of like always the 2 were tied to me, but not everybody in the band seemed cool with me doing solo stuff, and after a while I just got tired of stroking
Did
egos.
you ever use anything off those demos for that third album?
No, I just found that recently. But it was fun, I learned a lot.
Also, like, bands don't have to be like a bunch of albums. It could just be 1 or 2 albums. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like we're all like trained to think bands are supposed to go on forever, but sometimes it's just like 1 or 2, and that's cool.
You're the king of that.
Oh, come on.
Joe,
Ouch.
Joe does.
That hurts.
No, in a good way.
Oh.
Joe does so many projects. It's like.
No, but I want mine to last longer.
No, but it's like they reach a point.
I've
where
changed.
It's time,
Call
it's
me.
just time to move on.
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff, call us. Jeff. Jeff already.
Who's Jeff?
From our Joe had,
Hey, Jeff Amy, he's just making fun.
days, they put out 2 amazing albums, and he did an album with Fistful of Mercy, and that was an amazing album.
We're supposed to do something else.
And he did
eventually.
Peter Buck, Arthur Buck, and that was an amazing project.
We got
and
another.
The Lonely Astronauts, and that was an amazing project. But
Yeah.
Thanks,
it
Ehud.
all comes
We really
full
need to get a
circle
camera
in the
on Ehud,
Yeah.
especially if
Yeah.
you're going to compliment me the whole time.
And Joe has a new album, a solo album.
Come to where
I
I'm
know,
from.
I want to hear it.
Come to where I'm from. It's good. People are saying it's the best thing I've ever made. I
That's
tend
awesome.
to. No.
But isn't that the point? I mean, like, I don't want to
Yeah.
ever make the same record twice. Like,
No.
I want it to be, if I'm not growing, then, like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Well, I like the sound healing thing, and I'm into that. I think, like, that, too. Like, you're going to, like, get more and more into that, and then all of a sudden incorporate that into the next music probably, too. And that's going to be real powerful, I bet. You know?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know. I know. And I'm just projecting,
Okay.
who knows, or assuming stuff. But I could just see that evolving into, like, because like you said, like it is. I think people don't really realize how difficult it is to make records and put things out like that. But then again, everything in this life is difficult. Like, not putting out records is difficult, you know? Just being, leading a life of quiet desperation is also quite difficult.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any easy way in this world, But
Yeah, I guess difficult isn't the right word. It's just like there has to. I don't know. I'm sort of slowly getting to the way that I want to do it, you know? I gave away so much control so early on. I mean, I avoided... My first record I made was with a major label, remain nameless, but I didn't sign a contract, and I went into the studio and started working. I was 17.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that this... my sister had made friends with this mafia guy.
As you do.
And I probably shouldn't say his name. He's out of prison now.
Yeah, let's not. Yeah. Let's go ahead and we've already done moon landing and flat Earth. Let's go ahead and avoid mafia.
But he heard me play, and he went to this label and told the guy like, you're gonna work with her. Basically, strong-armed this guy to label to work with me. So they never really wanted to work with me. They just were kind of told they would. And so the handshake agreement that we had was like, we're gonna start a Canopy label for you, and all this bullshit. They blew up my. And so they dropped my bass player off at some studio in New Jersey for like a month, and the guy who ran the studio was really lovely and was getting those conversations and then what I thought was happening and was like, you need to register your copyrights and you need to like kind of helped me put things in place for when they tried to screw me over, which is what they did. So they had appointed a lawyer for me because I didn't have any money, and this lawyer was like, don't sign this deal, Holly. Like, they're not going to negotiate. They're trying to strong-arm me. It was like a 4-record deal with like publishing and merchandising and like, everything, and wouldn't negotiate with me. Wouldn't even let me refund them for like the few $1,000s they'd given to the studio. And so I had to walk away from this record, which I've never heard. It's been locked in a safe since I was 17 somewhere. Yeah. And then they told me, you'll never work in the music industry again. They threatened to kill me. I went back to Michigan for a little while and like hid out for a few months. And then he went to prison for extortion. Wow. And then I made a record off of my own and just sold it like at shows and was pressed up, my face on the CD kind of vibe. But that was sort of
That's
my
the one
first
you dropped
exposure.
Off here.
That was one before that.
Oh, that was before this one.
I did a couple of those. I just like
did
recorded.
You release any of those?
No, I don't want that. I want like people write me and like, where can I find that? I'm like, I don't know. You could go looking.
I'm all about like the next thing, like the past. Like people always talk about the past. I'm always like, you know what? I'm into the present.
Yeah.
I'm not really into like throwbacks or that much, but maybe the older you get, the down the line. I'm kind of down the line though still, and I'm still up into this present moment. I like the present moment.
Yeah. It sounds so bad. I mean, I was like plugging in an acoustic guitar and recording it into like an 840 GX to like a zip drive. That's what I did that whole record on. It sounds. And my voice is like, hey, up here, yeah. And I don't want to hear that ever, but good luck if you can find it.
Good
Challenge
luck.
Accepted.
We're going to look for it now. It's got to be buried somewhere on this flat earth. Under.
What's under the flat?
I don't know,
the
dude.
stem. It's like this.
It's all digital
God's
anyway.
table.
It's just a video game. We're in a video game.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for doing the podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
You were incredible. I feel like there's definitely a lot of song lyrics in this podcast.
Take them.
Yeah, they're good. Great stories.
Thanks.
Really appreciate meeting you too.
Me too.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a wrap on episode 2.
Episode 2. Don't
Come
forget,
to where I'm
find
from.
us on.
Oh yeah, go for it, Ehud.
Spotify.
iTunes. Google Play. YouTube.
And
Patreon. Oh yeah, support us on Patreon so we can get.
I'm on Patreon too.
Oh yeah, and Holly, support her.
Holly,
go ahead, give all your info. Give all your like Instagrams.
Oh, it's just Holly Miranda. I think all of them are Holly Miranda. What's next for me? I'm gonna start working on a new record.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna start recording some things soon. Maybe in Ibiza.
Cool.
So no shows.
I want to play tambourine on it.
Yeah. Come over.
Yeah. That sounds good.
I have some shows in Spain and Portugal in August.
Love Portugal.
Me too.
Beautiful there.
I love it there. And they assume I'm Portuguese because of my Miranda. Solo shows. I think I'm going to put together an island band and bring it over from Ibiza. I think Daniel Lorca.
The Healers.
Not a Surf. Yeah.
Holly and the Healers.
Holly and the Healers.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Oh yeah, let's take this out with a mantra. Which one? We'll follow you. Ehud, you got to chime in.
Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Om.
That's nice.